Hi guys, I am making a video about art history, but touching on just this one topic for now, which is painting in Egypt. And I'm gonna be reading like the first few pages. So like it's like 4 pages, 5 pages. It's like 5 pages, and there are big pictures that I can like show you guys as well. So I have completed like the entire first chapter of this book, which is a big deal because sometimes I borrow books from libraries and I don't read them, and then I overdo them because I'm like, I have to read at least a page. And yeah, so I'm so proud of myself that I'm actually true for like, I'm gonna finish Egypt and I'm gonna be moving on to Greek and Roman. So let's get on with the reading, and you guys can just like listen, I guess, because why not, right? So this is the book if you guys are interested. So I'm at painting Egypt. You can see the picture. And okay, less is known about Egypt's painting than its sculptures. Although painting must have played a crucial role in palace interiors, almost nothing has survived. It would certainly have featured in temples too, but all vestiges have disappeared in tombs designed to remain sealed forever. Painting was probably little more than a decorative feature, yet it is here, thanks to surviving fragments, that we can gain some idea of its qualities. Actually, I saw like a video on like this like 19-year-old prince. He became a prince when he was 9, and then he died when he was 19, so they had to like rush like the process of his tomb. And his tomb is underground, and most pyramid tombs are, I think, they're underground, I'm not sure. But this specific documentary that I watched, his was underground, and they found like all these boats for some reason, because apparently having boats in your tomb will help you to find your way into like the next stage of your afterlife. So they had these like boats, and they would like paint like little people, because they thought that the people will also come to life after, like, you know, like in the spirit world, and like help the prince to get to the afterlife. It was very interesting, and seriously worth a watch if you are into like Egypt and ancient art, which I kind of am getting into. So yeah, we can ignore all the coloring of statues, which was done in a simple way that followed rather impoverished conventions. Sorry about my reading, okay? Just sorry. We can also ignore the painted highlights on bas reliefs, which, through probably closely related to paintings, played a secondary role into the carving in such works. We are thus obliged to turn to the record left by tomb paintings, which are extensive in number and variety. Many evoke the mysteries of the afterlife, yet, however interesting they may be, they are not always of great artistic quality. Here too, Egyptian artists seemed more comfortable with scenes drawn from everyday life. Mention has already been made in the context of sculpture of the many ostraca struts of stone on which artists made their sketches. Yes, this is the name of like for example, you know, like sketchbooks that we have, like artists as like in today's timeline, they call them ostracas. Basically it's OSTRACA, and these are like stones that they carve like their drawings into before they drew it onto the actual like stone that they were gonna put it, you know, in the temple and stuff. Which is amazing if you think about it. Like that existed, like a draft or like a like a mock-up existed even in those times. So that's why like our art lecturers are so adamant on us coming up with like a sketch first, because it's helpful. Found in large quantities. So these sketches probably help the archaeologists or like people who study this to make up what the painting actually is about. Notably in the Great Pit at Dry al Madina. These Ostraka display a surprising freedom of observation, which, of course, you would not expect to find in tombs. And yet, painters like sculptors often seized any good opportunity. Yet painters like sculptors often seized any good opportunity to what? Consider the Mona painted on stucco. So I'm guessing this is the Mona. This is probably the Mona. I don't know. In the tome, page 50. Yep, that's the Mona, guys. This is the Mona painted on stucco, which I have no idea what it is. Probably like a temple or something. And it's in the tomb. It's in a tomb of Nebamun and Ipuki in Al Kokha. Dressed in grey, the figure stands out against a red background, sectioned into large squares by alternating white and yellow-brown bands that fill the composition. The harmony of colors is both rich and subtle, while the curves of the body and clothing contrast skillfully with the straight horizontals and verticals of the background. This painting might be compared with another scene of mourners found in Thebes, modern-day luxury, in the tomb chapel of Vizier Ramus, dated to around 1360 BCE. This time, color is secondary. The faces and flesh are painted in ochre, the wigs in black, and the dresses in the same white as the background. But the artist breaks the uniformity with surprising skill by pasting the entirely naked little girl in front. What? Set against the curtain of white dresses, she stands out from the other older woman, which enabled the artist to arrange harmoniously the patches of black. Oh, holy shit. That's kind of disturbing if you think about it, but I guess they allowed like little children to run around naked in Egypt then, or something. Or maybe the African artists asked for this. I don't know. So this is the painting that they're talking about. So that's the naked girl, like a little girl that captures like the attention of most people, I'm guessing, and probably a lot of psychiatrists now. I'm just kidding. Hair long in the upper part of the composition. Yes, everyone's hair is like very kind of weird. Like they have like these things going on, and then suddenly there's like a strand. Oh, here, I'll show you guys. You guys see it? Like they have like that thing going on, and suddenly they have like one long strand. I don't know. Maybe they wore like beads at the end of their hair. So above all, the stiff and conflicting lines that represent the gesture of lamentation are brilliantly countered in an ingenious touch by the trembling black locks of hair and stuttering verticals of the long white dresses. It's true. Many other examples of Egyptian painters' decorative instincts can be found, proof that their confident hands were equal to those of sculptors can be seen in an outstanding ostracon now in Louvre It contains a sketch of a royal portrait and would seem to have been done by an artist during the period of the New Kingdom. He used just one brush loaded with the red pigment and one loaded with black. Sometimes the red ink appears alone, sometimes it is reinforced by a black stroke that neither alters the underlying stroke nor overworks the drawing. A similar sensitivity to line would be found much later in China. As to the vast decorative schemes produced by artists for royal palaces, we can perhaps get some idea of them from a painting on a large wood stucco chest found in Tutankhamun's tomb, which dates back to 1325 BCE. So the previous one that they were talking about, like the simple lines and stuff, is this one. So you can see like the drawing is made with freaking paint, and it's pretty good, yeah. Like the eyes and stuff. I mean, it's nothing compared to like oil painters, but still, it shows like the artist's skillful hands. And the next one that they are now talking about is this, and this painting is on a wood thing. That's pretty cool. I really like animals, so like that's a horse, and it's kind of nice. Only I think it's kind of portraying war here. Let's read on, shall we? Okay. So the two main panels of the chest show the king defeating the Nubians and the king defeating the Syrians, I've heard that somewhere. The platelet is very limited, reddish brown, yellow, and black. So those were the only colors that they used, which was reddish brown, yellow, and black. And the figures are still shown in profile. Yes, they are. The composition, although ambitious, is clear. The figure of the king and the charging horses harnessed to his chariot poses an almost mannerist elegance. In contrast, the battle itself surprises by its vividness, its ethnic characters with their carefully described dress and clearly distinguished incidents. The same composition was handled in a similar way in several large bas-reliefs, notably those on the walls of the temple of Amon-Ra in Karnak, depicting the military campaigns of Seti I, and those on the pylon of Ramnes III's tomb chapel in Thebes, showing him on a hunt. It might be assumed that this was a kind of official scene, elaborated by a great court artist and then reproduced without variations. Not without variations, so they had variations by painters and sculptors, and finally miniaturized with great skill by the royal artists who decorated chests. So this is what I'm talking about. Like previously I was talking about the boats. They're not like humongous boats, they're like tiny, okay, not very very tiny, but like maybe like small boats. They varied in sizes. The boats that I was talking about before, if you guys can recall, they had tiny little people on it as well. So like, yeah, I guess they made miniature stuff then as well. These works seem all the more important in that secular paintings were naturally the Egyptian art to which foreigners would be exposed. Everything that survives today was deeply buried in tombs, whereas the work that is no longer extant must have had the greatest influence. According to Pinley, the Egyptians claim to have invented painting 6,000 years before it spread to Greece. The Roman writer assumed that the Egyptians were merely boasting but exaggerated numbers apart. Their claim must have reflected the truth. Ruins in Mary have revealed fragments of an 18th century BCE fresco, which clearly respects conventions similar to those seen in Egyptian painting. Head and feet in profile, shoulders shown frontically, limited range of colors. Really? I guess it's limited because it's like, okay, I'm just talking. Look, this is the one that they're talking about. Is it really limited in color? Do you guys think it's probably the same colors with this one, which is like brown and black and the brown yellow combination that they have going on? But I also see a bit of blue, but I guess that's just the rock. So yeah, we may mislead what may mislead us, however, is precisely the fact that cellular painting in Egypt must have differed from tomb painting. Of course, paintings discovered at Knossos in Crete, for example, executed around 1700 to 1400 BCE, show greater life and variety than Egyptian counterparts. The taste for decorative curves were envyings the flat washes and the figures seen in profile. More recently, in 1970, the discovery of the Archopolis of Mycenae revealed fragments of frescoes, including the bust of a woman that would appear to date back to the 13th century BCE. It is hard not to see traces of an Egyptian tradition behind it, possibly transmitted through Crete. That part I don't really get. I probably made it very, very hard for you guys to get as well. But this painting is done like basically like 1,000. Is it 1,000? Yeah. No. 30. 51 years ago. 1970. That's when the painting that kind of it's similar to the Egyptian painting. And that's it. Now, that's the painting part for Egypt, which is very, very small, and they kind of started it later on, but most of the artwork is around sculpture, which I covered with myself, and so I'm just gonna like note now for the painting, so sure you guys can stick with me for a while. Damn it. Okay, I do have to go back to sculptures a little, but let me just note down like some pointers for like painting for Egypt, and I have like 3 pencil cases, highlighters, markers, and pens. Yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm a proud nerd. So, painting. Painting done. The sculpture part, I don't know, it's like times had changed. Repeated. Babylonian Empire. So before this, right, before the painting part, there's like few sculptures that you should probably see. This one's pretty cool. It's colorful. Oh god. It's so colorful. But I'm gonna skip it because I just don't feel like it. Yeah, I'm gonna skip to Roman art now. Greek and Roman art. It's called Greek Miracle and Pax Romana. Although I would think it would be Romania, but that's a different country. Thank you. Thank you for your fucking contribution. We'll just wait. Actually, I'm gonna close the window. I should close the window. That's probably better, I'm guessing. Okay. So I'm gonna write down on my notebook, I guess, about roaming out now. So yeah, this is like a study with me video. Use brown or black, or using red. No, she is brown. Says I. It's not that nice, but like, whatever. So if you guys don't know, Greek and Roman sculptures are like, they're like, if I was Italian and describing food, that's how amazing Greek and Roman like sculptures are. I really like them because I think they are the first people to use like marble or something. Yeah, like their sculptures are made of marble and they're so smooth. They're not like made of stone, which is pretty rough, right? And so I really like these sculptures, which are so smooth. I like the smooth texture of the sculptures. Okay. When leaving the realm of Egyptian and Mesopotamian art for that of Greek and Roman art, we seem to move from archaeological hypotheses to historical certainty. Written documents confirm the main developments. Painters and sculptors are given individual names: Myron, Sopas, Zeuxis, and Apelles. I'm sorry if I butcher any of the names. Writers of the day mentioned the artists' main works, provided anecdotes about their lives, and rendered judgment on their styles. Famous monuments are mentioned in sometimes described. A history can therefore be based on a documentation bequeathed by antiquity itself. Okay, what the? So note to self, this time is when so it moves from archaeological hypotheses. Art moves from archaeological hypothesis to historical certainty. Right. And how is this done? Painters and sculptors are given names. Myron, Schoolhouse, Jesus, and I'll tell us. So this is the time that artists have like their name out there as like, oh, this person is an artist. They even have like documents and stuff. Before that, in Egypt and the Near East time, like no names were mentioned. It was just like they were just doing something that they had to do for like the gods or like for like the kings, but technically they did consider them as gods, so like paintings and everything was just done for them, and the person that did it had no credit whatsoever. First time in like a long time they have credit. So when do they start having credit? It was during Greek and Roman time. Before that, artists didn't really have a name for themselves. They just did it for like the higher ups. And this was also the first time that they didn't have to follow a certain style. They each had like their own styles, which kind of gave like anecdotes about their lives. So like the type of art they did kind of told everyone about like the person that they were or like the life that they led. I'm just gonna put down the words today that kind of, I don't know, is bequeathed and antiquity. I kind of know what it means, but not really that wellly. So okay. Okay, let's move on. These texts are accompanied by physical vestiges. Most of the major sites were excavated long ago. That's sad, and I need water. Okay, I'm gonna get water. Ah. Alright, so I had some water and it's raining. Awesome. So on with the reading. Distraction. Okay, so I have read these 2 pages, and to kind of recap, what it says is that, well, artists now have like their name out there, and they have like their own like styles, which kind of tells the people that them about their lifestyle. And the writers also talking about how we kind of assume that Greece and Roman people glorify like citizenships and like soldiers, which they kind of do. Like their sculptures are always about like the people and or soldiers, and I think the author's trying to say that we shouldn't just think that that was all they were about. But even though they kind of make it seem like that's all they're about, like they have like pictures of like people on horses going to war and everyday people, the same thing as the Egyptians, pretty much. I think in the past people really valued these things, like everyday life was something that was amazing to them. And I mean, to be honest, everyday life is still amazing right now. If you think about it, everyday life has changed a lot compared to then, but it's still amazing. It's still very weird and amazing. That's what they're talking about here, and they kind of mentioned like some artworks, which is this still artwork right here. One is the horseman, like I said, men on horses, and then the other one, okay, the horseman is from Parthenon, Athens, and it's in the British Museum right now in London. I don't know if you guys can see, it's not very bright. Is it? Okay, so the next one is a procession of the northern face of Era Pacis Auguste. It's in Rome, Italy. It's made of marble. Why did I tell you guys? I love marble, and the sculpture's probably like really smooth, making it brighter so you guys can see. Yeah, so it's made of like marble. Like I said, I love marble, so yeah. That's it for the sculpture, and now we're going on to architecture of like probably the Rome and Greek as well. Yeah, Greek and Roman architecture. This is just like intro part. So now we're going on to architecture. I'm gonna use like a lighter color to kind of it's a little too freaking light. I don't want it to be freaking. Okay, I'm just gonna use black. Let's see how many pages these are, but I did a diploma in fine art and kind of studied on this, which is like Greek and Roman architecture. The buildings are so freaking beautiful, and they are mostly famous for like these tall pillars that hold like the ceiling basically. So yeah, like I said, the tall like pillar like things, they're very famous for it, and they are the people who started like the Gothic style, and it's so beautiful. Like the inside is amazing as well. Like you can see like the top just like goes like a dome. It's so pretty. So yeah, let's get started. And I'm gonna read and then recap to you guys, I guess, because my voice is like dying. Let me just check if like people message me. It won't take long.